The Mind Your Business podcast comes to you every week with new episodes. Here Friday, September the 28th, we're brought to you by Brooks Brothers Consulting, Leadership, Talent Development, Alternative Financing, just overall business development for your small business. We also work with financial institutions of various sizes. And again, we help develop sales, service, operations, and employee engagement platforms. We're working a lot with CRM now. So a lot of the community banks that we're talking to are utilizing CRM, which is Community Reinvestment Act. I'm sorry, not Community Reinvestment. That's another subject. Customer Relationship Management Tool, which is CRM. So they're using that, and they're looking for ways to connect with their customer to help their branch network, their small business networks, drive more sales, drive more relationships. And so we're helping to do that. So if you're interested in that, if your banker has mentioned anything related to CRM or developing new strategies with customer acquisition or customer retention, or if you're a small business owner and you're looking for alternative financing options. I was talking with my guy, Deverick Watson, with Credible Concepts, who you need to get with for all of your credit needs. You need to have a credit guy on your team. And so I recommend credibleconcepts.com with my guy, Deverick Watson. We were talking this week, and he mentioned and we were talking about buying your income. And one of the ways you can do that, there's many ways you can do that. One of the ways is through alternative financing sources. Your bank or credit union may not always be there for you, and they may. But if they're not, and you're looking for an alternative solution, we can do that at Brooks Brothers Consulting. That's brooksbrothersconsulting.com. You can give us a call at 901-808-3801. Today's episode is number 63. Is Plan B necessary? In some instances, maybe. In some instances, maybe not. But we're going to talk about it right here on the Mind Your Business podcast. We got our Facebook Live audience. Y'all show me some love with the hearts. Comment. Let me know that you're in the house. And for the podcast listeners, let's go ahead and hit the music. Y'all know what time it is.
What we do here is go back.
All right, y'all. I'm your host, Champ Ron. This is the Mind Your Business podcast. It's Friday, September the 28th, 2018. Coming to you live from the great city of Memphis, Tennessee. A great city that I have been endeared to, that I love. And because of that, it tends to love me back in more ways than one. We've got a Facebook Live audience here, man. Y'all make sure, hit the hearts, hit the likes, share this, because today's going to be a really good subject for many people to discuss on a number of different levels. Episode 63 is Plan B necessary? Before I jump right into the subject real quick, man, this has been a very busy, very, in some cases, tumultuous last several days. There are a lot of things going on just in the world. In sports, of course, if you're a basketball fan, the NBA teams are back. They had media days this week, and they're back to action, get ready to start the preseason. So hopefully whatever your team you're following or whatever players you're following are going to be healthy and going to have a great season. College basketball is about to get underway here in Memphis. We got coming next week Memphis Madness that I'll be a part of. And so that's going down with new coach Anthony Penny Hardaway as the head coach is taking over the reins at the University of Memphis for men's basketball. That's got the city still excited. And some things that are a little less exciting. A young man was shot by the police here in Memphis a little over a week ago. Mr. Martavius Banks, we wish him and his family speedy recovery and answers to the buffoonery that was going on with, unfortunately, the Memphis Police Department in regards to that situation. You can read about it. I'm not going to take up a ton of time going over that. Nor am I going to talk about Kavanaugh yesterday and the lady doctor who brought up the allegations that he spoke before the Senate yesterday, which was wild, kind of an all-day marathon. There may be other times to speak on some of these subjects, but nonetheless, they happened and made it a tumultuous week. For those of y'all that still love Tiger Woods, Tiger Woods won a tournament, I think on this past Sunday, I think it was. So for those of y'all that are happy and glad about that, I guess you can be if you want to. If you're not salty about some of his past stuff and dealings, you can be happy for one Mr. Tiger Woods. And then on an even more local and sad note to go along with Mr. Martavius Banks, who again we send out our heartfelt thoughts and that sort of thing to him and his family on a speedy recovery. And that true justice is served in that particular situation. And there are a lot of people on the front lines as well as at other levels who battle not just individual situations, but the overall culture as it relates to policing here in Memphis and all around the country. Phil Tennery was murdered on last night. He's the CEO of the Greater Memphis Chamber. He's someone that I've had a personal opportunity to connect with on a couple different initiatives around Memphis 3.0 and just other business dealings in the city. Definitely condolences to the family, and that, again, true justice is served in that situation as well. But that's kind of hot off the presses from yesterday evening. He was shot in downtown Memphis on last night. For those that you can go out and check out the articles and some of the media on that. If anybody's got updates on either of those situations and you're on Facebook Live, you can comment with those. But show me some love on Facebook Live. Let me know what's going on. And you as well that are listening to the podcast, you can email me, Ron, at themybpodcast.com. Shout out some folks on Facebook Live. Hewlett C. Britt, what's going on? Great business owner here, man. In the event business, hosts some great things around the city. He's been doing that for years. Justin Spencer, what's going on, my brother? And Joe Washington, man, how y'all doing? Just shouting out, man, some folks, great people that are on Facebook Live as I normally do. So, episode 63, thank you so much, man, for those that have shared. You know, you may not know this. We've cracked over 22,000 downloads with the Minding Your Business podcast, man, since we started August 17th of last year, of 2017. And we're here today presenting before you September 28th, 2018, man. I am ecstatic, man. I'm extremely excited. I'm happy. And this is a result. This ain't just about me. And this podcast is not just about me. This podcast is about you and what you do to be able to support getting this type of content out. And 22,000 downloads in a year is nothing to sneeze at all, man. That took some work on my part, but even more so on yours. So, man, I want to take this time, man, to really thank you all for that, man, because we actually cracked for a business podcast. On last week, we cracked the top 100, which is huge. You think of the couple million podcasts that are floating out there on Apple Podcast and whatnot. We cracked the top 100 as a business podcast on last week, man. So thank y'all so much, man. I really appreciate all that you do to subscribe and share and continue to do that, man. Share this podcast with your friends, your colleagues, your enemies, your haters, whatever it is that you got that you've endeared yourself to. Make sure that you share it. So real quick, episode 63, man, is Plan B necessary? All right, I want to talk about Plan B. And I'm going to talk about it from a few different angles, y'all. I'm going to talk about it from a business professional angle. I'm going to talk about it from a family angle and family leadership. And, of course, I'm going to compare it to the actual Plan B pill that many are familiar with. I don't know the official technical name. My wife is in the medical business field, and as she could probably, as many of you could, tell me the politically correct official name for the particular pill, but it's commonly known as Plan B. So with the Plan B pill, and I don't have to explain this to y'all that are familiar with it. Some of y'all are probably frequent users of the Plan B pill. But the Plan B pill, in its simple essence, women take it to thwart off becoming pregnant after or within X amount of time of a sexual encounter that involves sexual intercourse. And it's been around for several years now. It is, I'm sure there's statistics all the way around as to what impact it's had and what kind of, and that kind of thing. But typically, in a sexual encounter where the plan is to not have it end up with a pregnancy, that may be not part of your Plan A. So your Plan A is to do whatever you need to do to prevent pregnancy, right? And so when you go beyond that, as with some plans, they fail when you have people involved. And so there's the Plan B pill. That's hence the name Plan B. But how does that work professionally in your business when you're running the business, even on your job? Is a Plan B necessary? And feel free to comment on this. Feel free to share your thoughts and your opinions. If you're here on Facebook Live, y'all can comment. You don't have to be shy. Your boss says to go see this. If you're hiding in your cubicle, I'll make sure of it. And if he has a problem with it or she has a problem with it, you can just refer them to me, and I'll tell them it was me, and I'll take the blame for it. So I don't want y'all to get in no trouble here on no Friday and then come in on Monday and have an issue. So, but anyway, with your business, when you go into business, and I'm gonna speak of this kind of from a motivational standpoint too for y'all. When you go into business, you have to be all in and you have to be committed. You know, this week Will Smith, the actor, celebrated his 50th birthday. And y'all recall Will Smith from Independence Day and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Ali and all the different movies and shows and stuff that he's done in media. He celebrated his 50th birthday by bungee jumping over the Grand Canyon. All right. And when he got done doing that, he basically was recorded and he was full of adrenaline and that kind of thing. And he spoke of, man, you've got to commit and go. You know, you don't hesitate. When you see the opportunity, you've got to commit to it and go. And that relates to when you start talking about Plan B. Plan B, your initial plan needs to be the main thing that you're focusing on. Some people, it's hard for them to get started in their business because before they even attempt to execute on Plan A, they're already worried about Plan B and Plan C and Plan D all the way to Z. They've got 20-something other plans that they're trying to consider because they're insecure or don't have the confidence to go start Plan A. Plan A is where you begin. That's where it starts. Shavonda Patton, how you doing? Thank you for tuning in. But Plan A, your initial plan is good enough. If you vetted it out and it makes sense and checks the boxes that you need to check. But many people in their business, they don't start or they don't really lift off because they're so worried about Plan B. They're worried about Plan A failing, and you've got to commit. You've got to commit and go. You can't hesitate. You can't sit and plan and do this Plan B. Now, let me compare the two. In a situation where, you're looking at a huge impact, like things like a pregnancy, having a Plan B does make sense. So I'm not suggesting that there's no scenarios where that's just being good, just being prudent. Let me say that. It's prudent for people to explore other options and have, in this case, a Plan B. And if your plan A fails in a sexual relationship, then having a plan B can help cover for that. In business, let me give you a banking tie-in too to this. Y'all want to know the reason why the bank really wants collateral for a loan? Do y'all ever want to know that? Y'all go to the bank, and one of the first things your bankers go tell you is, what do you have to pledge for collateral, right? Because, they don't want to see. Here's the thing with a bank, just like any person or people. People are not going to fund 100% of your speculation. They're just not going to do that a ton. So what does the bank do? They ask for collateral. But what is collateral? Houses, cash, anything with any kind of monetary value that could be quickly converted to cash. Sometimes in certain investment accounts, certain assets, property, vehicles, things like that, jewelry, things that have a fairly quick value. They may be depreciable in some instances, but they have a value. Why does the bank ask for that? I'll tell you why. The bank asks for that as a plan B. What's their plan A? Their plan A is that you're going to be fully committed to this business. That's why they want you to personally guarantee it. Right? You have to sign a personal guarantee document that if the business does not pay this debt back to us with interest at the time that we all agree to per the promissory note, that we can come to you for that payment. You as the personal guarantor. That's why they ask for that. Do they want your collateral? Hell no. They don't want another house. They don't want another building. They don't want another car, because they got to sell it for pennies on the dollar, right? Whatever you owe on it, they're not going to get back. There's a loss, at least on the front end. Now, I'll talk on another podcast how it's really not a loss for them, but it's actually a gain. But to the masses, it's a loss in terms of how the bank presents it. So collateral is a plan B. It's not their plan A. So when you go to them with your property and you say, I've got 50% equity in this house and I want to borrow, they do not want your house. That cannot be your plan A on how you're going to pay them back is collateral. That is a plan B. So the bank looks for, right off the top, they want you to be fully committed to that business. And that's what they're looking for. How do they know you're fully committed? Cash flow. Cash flow, baby. That mighty dollar. That's what they want. All right. So most lenders are cash flow based. You got to be able to demonstrate to them that you got the ability to cash flow at a certain level. Most banks want you to do that. They call it a debt service ratio. Debt service coverage, DSC. Now I'm talking to you as someone as a banker, over 16 years. They want debt service coverage, which means they're going to take your annual income in the business and personal. If they're doing what's called a global cash flow, where they take your personal income and your business income and lump it together, as well as your personal debts and your business debts. On an annual basis, they go do a ratio of those together, and that ratio normally needs to be somewhere usually about 1.25 or higher, 1.25 as a ratio. What that means in English, in plain English, is that for every dollar of debt that you have at least $1.25 in income to cover it. That's at a very minimal basis. That gives them the confidence that you have the ability to repay this loan. And normally, most banks now, especially, is they include the new debt that you're getting. So whatever new loan, if you're getting $100,000, $50,000, whatever, they include that in that calculation. So the bank looks for plan A and plan A only. And then they cover themselves, hopefully, with some kind of plan B. You as a business owner, you have to completely commit to your plan A. You must. Because if you spend, unlike the bank and unlike in a sexual relationship, you're going to have to commit. And in a sexual relationship, I mean, You'll need to commit to not doing the things that lead to pregnancy if that's not your part of your plan A, right? So if those things, that's going to tie you together for many years, which would be a child, that needs to be part of your plan A. And then you decide whether you're going to cover yourself. But if you adhere to your plan A, right, then you won't need plan B. Huh? Am I speaking to somebody? So you won't need the plan B. So is plan B necessary is the question. And that's debatable. It depends on what side of the fence that y'all are sitting on, man. But a plan B in your business, when you focus on that, and again, that's why many aren't able to get started, or they get stalled out, or the first storm that comes through, they fall off that wagon because they're so busy trying to insulate themselves through their insecurities and things like that and their fears. Instead of committing, you got to go. You got to be prepared that you're going to go. No matter what business you're starting, if you're in janitorial, if you're in hair care, if you're in distribution, logistics, if you're in finance, if you're in construction, no matter what business that you're in retail, it doesn't matter. You've got to commit to your basic plan. That's why you develop the business plan and then you go execute it. And then it evolves over time. But if you're not willing to commit to your basic plan, neither is anybody else. And that's just as real as I can tell you. Neither is anybody else. The bank's not, your family's not, your spouse isn't, your children aren't, other people that you're friends with and connected, they're not going to believe in it until you do. You've got to commit to it. Don't come asking, me or anybody else, about committing to your business and you're not willing to commit to it. You got to be willing to commit to plan A. That's the bottom line. And so from my standpoint, in my opinion, there are instances and angles where plan B is necessary. Where, you have to, it's just good to be prudent. One of those areas is depending on at what stage you are in your business and how many other people it impacts. When you're first starting out and it's pretty much just you and you're a solopreneur, you've got to commit to that plan A. When you've got 5,000 employees, right, and your business is scaled and maybe you're a Fortune 500 or you're close to it or whatnot, you need to have more than a plan A because your reach and your impact is bigger. Let me give you an example. Some of the people, I'm here in Memphis, so I'll use FedEx as an example. What if FedEx came to you, let's just say today was payday, and you walked in, and you know how some of y'all are. Y'all figured out that they posted a check last night. Y'all was looking last night to see if y'all check posted, right? Your direct deposit. So let's just say FedEx, that doesn't run Thursday night, and so you're like, And one of the first things you want to do when you get to work and log into your computer, before you even go use the bathroom, you're going to go check to make sure, hey, did we get paid today? And let's just say FedEx sends an announcement that says, you know what, our plan A didn't work, and we're going to have to figure something out. We're going to run payroll. We don't know when, but we're going to run it, so just be patient with us. It'll probably be sometime next week or the week after. What are you going to say to that if you work for FedEx? I tell you what you're going to say. And it's going to be a lot of 4-letter words, a lot of MFs, and a whole lot of things you're going to say. But one of the main things that you're going to say is, y'all didn't know this was going to happen. Y'all didn't have no backup plan. Y'all didn't have no plan B. Because it impacts, let's just say these, and FedEx has way more than this, but the 5,000 employees for your company are all looking at you sideways, crazy. Because you mean I done worked this last week or 2 weeks or whatever it is, and I'm not going to get paid? And for some people, if they're supposed to get paid on Friday and the company says, man, something happened and we're going to do it on Monday, that's going to screw up some people's whole weekend. It'll screw up some people's whole weekend. So having a plan B in that instance, in my opinion, is necessary when you've got a wide impact. Doesn't mean that FedEx shouldn't commit full-fledged to their plan A to make sure that doesn't happen, right? But having a plan B, so those 5,000 employees would have sure appreciated if FedEx, in this example, had a plan B. Hey, listen, whatever account that funds our payroll got jacked up some kind of way, but we've got this backup fund or this backup line or whatever that's filling in. And they don't even really most of the time, they're probably not even going to tell the employees that. Maybe the folks in middle management and upper management and stuff may know, but your frontline folks may not even know. Or the company may be transparent and they tell, hey, this is what happened, blase, but everybody's good. We got them covered. As an employee now of that company, you're feeling good. Like, hey, man, the plan A didn't work, but they had a plan B. Same like parents talk about with their children. Hey, you want to be this, you want to be that, but what's your fallback plan? What do you want to do if you don't make it to the NBA or you don't become a successful music artist or you don't become a successful whatever, fill in the blank? What's your what? Plan B. All right. So, yes, there are instances where plan B does make sense, particularly depending on the impact. It's not to say anything has so much more of an impact or less, but certain things nonetheless have different impacts, particularly long or short term. So you got the long game, you got the short game. But I encourage y'all, you've got to commit to your initial plan. You can't sit around and constantly be, like you say in football, they just punt the ball down the field. Some people, wouldn't it be crazy if you're watching football and your favorite team punt on third down? You're like, well, damn. Your offense on the field and they just run a play on first and second down and then they punt the ball on third down. Now, you be hot. All right. You got to commit. You've got to commit. So if you're starting a business, you're looking to take this weekend and start a business, wherever you are in your walk, you've got to commit. You've got to go, y'all. You've got to. Let me shout out some more folks that joined. My cousin Billy out there in Texas. What's going on, brother? He could jump on here and tell you. My cousin Billy here, he's E. Mitchell Jr. here on Facebook Live. Started his barber business, his barber school. Man, he's helped, probably hundreds of guys get into the business out there. Guys and girls get into the business. Cuzzo Lisa, how you doing? But he's out there in El Paso, man, doing this thing. I see you, boy. Definitely doing this thing out there. Miss Piggies, what's going on? Doc, what's going on? Doc Harrington, how you doing? Hey, Miss Copeland, how you doing? Just shouting out to folks down Facebook Live. But listen, y'all have got to commit to this thing now. Is Plan B necessary? In some instances, yes. But in most instances, you shouldn't get to Plan B. Because you got to be just that crazy and just that committed to your Plan A. It's just like someone on a high wire. You go approach it different when you stand up on that wire and you see that net down there. That's different than when you stand up there and there's no net, right? And it's going to be scary. It's going to be scary as hell. You stand on that high wire and there's no net, nothing behind you but concrete on the ground. Because, you're going to be like, one mistake and, I'm checking up out of here. But you got to commit. You got to take the chances. Being a business owner is, crazy people do that. Right? You got to be some type of crazy to start a business. Sane people, they go to work. That's what reasonable-minded, sane people, they go to work. Nothing wrong with that because there's a lot of sane people in the world. There's also a lot of crazy folks. And you've got to have a little bit of crazy to go out there. You have to have a little bit of, you got to have a little bit of insane to you, a little bit of, it's got to be a little bit of something wrong with you. You know what I mean? To want to go out there and create, opportunities for yourself and for others. And be that man, be that woman that takes it all on them. That takes a little bit of crazy. That takes a little bit of pizzazz. That takes a little bit of. Well, I'm trying to think of the word that I love to use. That it takes a little bit of moxie. Yeah, that takes a little bit of moxie to get out there and do that. It's not easy. You know what I mean? But you've got to commit in your career. When you're looking to transition careers, or you've got to commit. You got to create your plan, and you've got to go. You can't worry about what people say on Facebook and who likes it and who comments and who shares or who doesn't, and who supports you, who doesn't, who friends you or who unfriends you and all that kind of stuff. You got to get past that. If all that bothers you, then you don't really need to be in the game. If you're worried about being booed, if you're only good in the game when they're cheering for you, that's not your game. It's not your game. My guy Scott Kinney here on Facebook says, I completely agree with you about commitment. My career military mindset demands that you always have a contingency plan B. If things go unexpectedly wrong with plan A, it's always important to have that backup plan to ensure success overall. So, yeah, thank you, Scott. I appreciate that comment. So there are situations. That's why I say if is it plan B necessary? Yes, in certain situations it is. There are scenarios and those situations are usually contingent on the impact, right? And impact for yourself, impact for other people. But you've got to be able to go about it and commit to the initial plan. And my point is, and thank you again, Scott, my point is when it comes to plan B is nothing wrong with having plan B. It's just when you focus so much on plan B that you forget what the hell you were doing with plan A. Or you go into market starting with your plan B. That's another thing that keeps people from being successful in their business. In their peripheral, they're so busy watching plan B. There's situations where you need to have that, but no, it's not. You've got to be able to commit and go. At the end of the day, you got to be able to commit. And so I encourage y'all to do that. And I haven't spoken of this from the family side yet, but even as a family leader, right? You're a husband, you're a wife. You aspire to be a wife, you aspire to be a husband, you're engaged. Maybe you're divorced and you're looking to marry again. Whatever your situation is, maybe you don't give a damn about ever being married, whatever it is, right? But as a family leader, you got to be able to commit, and you got to be able to commit to the overall plan of what it is that you want to be, right? My wife and I, okay, over almost 11 and a half years, we have to communicate and we have to talk about as we evolve. Keep in mind, we were 26 when we got married, 37 heading on 38 now. Okay. Things have changed, to say the damn least. Okay. It started out with me and her. Now it's me, her, 3 girls, and a dog. All right. Things have evolved. Things have changed. Our overall scope of our plan of what we want to accomplish remains fairly the same. That's the foundation that the property is built on. That strong foundation. But the pieces of the house evolve, right? At some point, the roof has to be adjusted. Sometimes you have to come in and paint. You have to change out appliances, right? You may pull up carpet, put hardwood down. So things within the house evolve and change. But the foundation's still there. And we've got to commit to the foundation. No matter when we face different hard times, which we have, and most, if not everybody, will. You've got to be prepared. You've got to commit to that essential base foundation. And what is that foundation? That foundation is whatever your initial plan is. What is your plan? Are you wanting to, so why do you want to be married? Why do you want to evolve a family? Is it so you can post on Facebook? So you can travel with other married couples? You can hang out with them? You could be part of the married club at, whatever organization that has them. What's your motivation? So you can have a wedding day and have it be all about you. You have to look at this. What is your motivation that's going to feed into what goes into your plan as a couple? And for men as husband leaders in households, you have to uphold this. You uphold that commitment. And you set the example. That doesn't make me above my wife. We're equal partners. We're equal business partners in this. Okay? We play different roles. It's just like on a team, right? Any kind of team. You play different roles, sometimes in different situations. Y'all remember Shaq and Kobe, right? Of course, they butted heads and they feuded. Why? Because they allowed media, they allowed different people to get in their ear. And as they evolved, their goals, start to change. Some guys want to be everybody wants to be the head of something. But at their very best was when they were in roles that made sense, right? Kobe had his role, Shaq had his role, and they both had to do their things at different times. At some point, the ball's in Shaq's hands. At another point, the ball's in Kobe's hands. At some point, Kobe's got to be the defensive stopper against the other team's scoring person. Shaq's got to be the stopper in the paint. They play different roles. That's what you do as husband and wife. You play different roles. It's not always a set role. I'm not always the leading scorer. She's not always the leading scorer or rebounder or assist person. It just depends on, the opponent that we're facing, what our skill sets are and how they've evolved over time. So it's no different. It's the same thing. And your skill sets evolve. You develop new skill sets. Some skill sets fade away, just like any ball player that goes from 20 to 25 to 30 to 35 to 40. Your skills and what you're able to do changes and evolves. You get better at some things. That's what life tends to do anyway. Life spends part of your life giving you stuff and another part of your life taking things away and adding new things to it. You lose some physical abilities, you gain some mental and emotional abilities, hopefully. So all this feeds into what your plan is. Now, as a husband, if you're always out looking for plan B and always developing plan B, then it's going to be hard for you to develop your initial plan A. And that hurts a lot. That affects a lot of people's relationships. It does. It affects a lot of people's relationships when they are so focused on plan B, this next step. What am I going to do with this? Who's got this better? And who's, you're always looking outside. You're looking at, if this don't work out. You hear people say that all the time. They say that with the business. Well, what if this don't work out? Ron, what if this don't work out? They say that with a relationship. Well, what if this don't? Listen, that's always going to be the case, y'all. You can say that about anything that you do. But you notice this. Let me give you an example where it don't bother nobody. Y'all can wake up in the morning, and I'll give it a Memphis example. We've got I-40, we got I-240. The traffic person can get up and say, everybody on I-240 done wrecked this morning. And guess what y'all go do if y'all got to be to work? Y'all go get in your car. You might avoid 240. But you go get in that car and drive. You're not going to say, I ain't driving today because them folk out there getting into wrecks. Yes, they are. But if you got to be to work or you got to be somewhere that's important enough to you, you go get in that car and go. Right? You're not worried about a plan B. Your plan A was to get to work. That is your plan. Ain't no plan B. Or to get to your business, or to get to, if you're heading out of town, you got to get to the airport. That is your plan A. It might have just been on TV the night before that a plane crash. Some people, that makes them a little nervous. That go stop you from getting on your plane the next day or 2 days later. After 9/11, they suspended flights. When flights resumed, what did people do? They start back flying again. It didn't stop them. You got to commit to your plan. Dr. Teresa Woodard, what's going on? She was a guest on a few episodes back. Thank you. D. Berry, what's going on, girl? How you doing? Thank you for joining. Ms. Nash, thank you for joining as well. These are folks, again, on Facebook Live. But you've got to commit. It's the same thing with your family. And I'm speaking to the men right now in terms of as a husband. You drive this, all right? You drive this. And being a leader is not just because you're the tallest person in the house or because you wear pants. This is how you show your leadership, by you're constantly putting the reminders out and demonstrating that initial plan. Whenever things happen or things break down, you have to remember that, just like with a team. Our goal is, if you're thinking football, our goal is to win the division. If we did win the division, we're going to get into the playoffs. And if we can have home field advantage, we can make other teams have to come play us on our home field. That's your goal every year. If your goal is, hey, we want to win the Super Bowl, most teams, when that's just their overt goal, that sounds great. But it's too far down the line. You got to bring it home. Great teams, their goal is to win the division. To win the division, what does that mean? We play every team in the division twice. We need to win. Every time we play a division team, we got to make sure our game is tight. That's the whole thing. And that's the analogy that I use. You want to win the division. So as a husband, it's about your leadership and your temperament in terms of, even when things break down in the house, you've got to be the one that helps stabilize that. And that's where you sit you're talking with your wife and you're collaborating on, remember what our original goal is. Right? And so we got to make sure that what we do, what we commit to, what we look towards and everything filters back to what's our original goal in the first place. And when you keep those things in mind, it helps keep a certain perspective. See, but if all you're going to be worrying about is plan B all the time, then your plan A won't work. And thus, whatever it is you're trying to do won't work. Whether it's your relationship, whether it's your business, whether it's on your job, whatever that is, it's not going to work. Not if you're not willing to commit and not hesitate and go. It's the same thing like Will gave too. For single people, you've seen him, ladies. Beyond just, I'm getting beyond physical appearance and attractiveness and all that, because either that's there or it's not for you. But assuming that that's there for you, then your step is you're looking at, what is his character? How does he handle things? How does he handle anger? How does he handle being embarrassed? Same for her, fellas. After you get past her looks, and that's going to be there for you. Either it is or it isn't. You'll determine that real quick. For us guys, that things hit our radar real quick. We process that kind of stuff real quick. So after you get past that, it is, how does she handle anger? How does she handle emotion? How does she handle when she feels embarrassed? How does she handle anger? Those are the things that are filtering in. What kind of plan do we develop? Do we have commonalities in our plan of what we want to accomplish as individuals and as a couple? It all goes hand in hand, y'all. It goes hand in hand. But if you go into it, some people do this, before they even get married. Well, what if it don't work out? What if it doesn't? Will it be the first time? Maybe for you in terms of a marriage situation, but is it the first time a marriage didn't work? No. Is it going to be the last time a marriage didn't work? No. No to either one. But does that mean you should not commit to the full plan? You should. Listen, nothing's going to guarantee you. You don't get married because you're guaranteeing that a person's going to. You're not guaranteeing anything. Listen, y'all, you're not guaranteed anything. Your business, because you commit to plan A, doesn't automatically guarantee that your business is going to prosper. Committing to your spouse and having a commitment to plan A doesn't mean that it's going to automatically work out. It doesn't. Committing to the process on your job doesn't mean you're automatically going to be promoted. But you've got to commit. Yes, you can be hurt. You can lose some things, but you got to commit. And you got to commit. You can't be worried about plan B. So, yes, is plan B necessary? And there are instances, yes, where it is. There's nothing wrong with having it. Just don't focus so much on it. And I see many people and many people that I consult and work with, they're always focused on plan B. The first thing is they want to insulate and protect themselves and insulate their insecurities and fears with, let me have a plan B, something else I can go do. And they never pick up and go do plan A. Commit to plan. If you take this and you're listening to this podcast, if you don't listen to anything else that I'm saying, y'all, take it from Champ Ron. Commit to plan A. Plan A is the only plan that you need. Write out your plan B. It's prudent to have it. Tuck it away. Don't be sitting there looking at it, reading it over and changing it up every time you see somebody else on Facebook post something that looks like they're doing well, or you want to change up your whole plan because you see someone having success in this. It takes time. This podcast, to build it took time. It's still taking time. Brooks Brothers Consulting takes time. Any endeavor that you have is going to take time. There's very few overnight successes. Very few. And you have to be leery of that anyway. It takes time, y'all. So put the time, put the work in, make the connections, right? And commit to your plan A. That's all it is. And that's the best, realest way that I could tell y'all. Miss Coleman, how you doing? Jimmy Dickey, how you doing? What's up, y'all? Who is that? Adama? I'm not sure how you pronounce that, baby, but how are you doing today? There's folks joining on the Facebook Live. But listen, y'all comment, y'all share more on the Facebook Live. I thank you for those that have commented, Scott, and several of you that have. I haven't been able to get quite to everybody, but if you agree, disagree, have more to add, you can hit me on Facebook. Like I told you when I was starting off, I was talking to some folks on Facebook, man, and Facebook's been tripping the last couple of days, man. I've had to log into it like every time. I don't know if anybody else is having this same problem, but I've had to log into Facebook, like put in my password on my phone. Like, damn. Then Facebook comes in just now before I start recording the podcast. They made me change my name. So I was on there as Champ Ron Brooks. They made me change. I had to pull the champ off of it. So I'm like, man. So I don't know what's going on, man. But Facebook tripping today. They got something new going on. And I know they're looking at all their privacy stuff and everything, but I ain't have nothing to do with President Donald Trump's election. I'm not Russian. So I'm not no terrorist. No, nothing like that. I'm just a guy that enjoys connecting with people and doing business and sharing content on this podcast. So, man, listen, thank y'all so much, man, for tuning in. I wish y'all a great weekend. September and the third quarter is coming to a wrap. We're going into the fourth quarter, baby. Monday is October 1st. We're into the fourth quarter of 2018. Just that damn quick. So hopefully you've got your strategy together. Your plan A has been working all year. You've got some time to round it out. And then you've got to be, if you hadn't already, you should be planning for 2019. 2019 is going to be an interesting year, baby. You got Fed rates going up. 2019 might be an eye-opening year for a lot of people, but I believe in every one of y'all, and I see a lot of successes coming. I do. And you're going to be successful if you commit to your plan A in your personal life and your professional life. Scott Kenny says, headed out today to Jackson, Mississippi to help strengthen their plan A and others establish a plan B to change their lives for the better. Cutting expenses and increasing cash flow, putting family back in the priority, and establishing time freedom and financial freedom for anyone who is open-minded and ambitious enough to step up. Very well said, Scott. Do your thing down in Jackson, man. If I can help or be a resource, let me know, as you know. But Scott's going around to help people develop their plan A. So what are you going to do with your plan A? I'm Champ Ron. This is the Minding Your Business podcast. We come to you again every Friday with a new episode. Did have a guest lined up for today, Kim Morrow. She's an author in education. I'm going to look to get her rescheduled. It was on me. I had scheduled conflict, so that was my fault. But we look to get Kim Morrow on. Man, if any of you are interested in being on the podcast, our reach is increasing. So you don't have to be worried about that. We're doing the work. You all are doing the work. I'm doing the work. We're getting the podcast out there and the word out there. So if you're interested in being a guest, just inbox me, email me, Ron at themybpodcast.com. Make sure you subscribe and listen, share on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, YouTube, all those different platforms where you can catch this content. So Elliot the Main Sales, make sure, don't forget MainT-shirts.com. That's the move that you need to make once this is over with. Go to Main T-shirts, MANE T-shirts.com. Make sure that you place your order and support Elliot the Main Sales. Yeah, that's my guy right there. So make sure that you do that. Listen, I'm out, man. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this Friday, enjoy this weekend. And we're going to be ready. Fourth quarter 2018. Champ Ron, the Mind Your Business podcast.